Welcome back to another episode of War in Cali. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the Bounty Hunter Bloods. The Bounty Hunters are a blood gang from Nickerson Garden Projects in Watts. The Nickerson Gardens are one of the biggest housing projects and has several cliques within their projects and has several members. Gangs have been operating out of Watts for over 5 decades, and the Bounty Hunter Bloods have always been one of the main forces. Watts has several hoods like PJ Watts, the Grape Crips, and the Bounty Hunter Bloods. These are the 3 premier gangs that you see in Watts. PJ Watts Crips and the Bounty Hunter Bloods hate the Grape Street so much, they put their differences aside countless of times to take on the Grapes. But all 3 gangs had a time period in the 90s where their beef was at a ceasefire and a peace treaty that happened in 1992. But that wouldn't last forever. The Bounty Hunter Bloods beef with, of course, the Grape Street Crips, the Front Street Crips, the Back Street Crips, the Home Street Crips, Fudgetown Mafia Crips, and they have beef with some Compton Crip gangs, as well as some Piru sets. The Bounty Hunter Bloods are cool with other blood sets like the Hacienda Village Bloods, Circle City Pirus, like I mentioned before. The Bounty Hunter Bloods and the PJ Watts Crips are on cool terms, because their top op, the Grape Street Crips, are their main enemy. Compared to the old days in LA, a lot has changed. You can see a lot of rival gangs being allies, or a lot of gangs that were once cool being enemies now. Or a gang that your hood hates the most, who they associate with could be your enemy now. You could see some Bounty Hunter Bloods associating with some neighborhood Crips now. Off the Grape Streets having association with the Hoovers, and the Hoovers hating the neighborhood Crips, it's all is aligned together. You can find some videos out there of the Bounty Hunters and the Hoovers having a little fades, or dissing each other's sets. That probably just stems from the Hoovers and the Grape Streets having a good relationship. I did the Bounty Hunters in one of my first episodes, and discussed their beef with the Grape Streets. If you haven't seen that already, check that out. But in this episode, I'm going to go into more cases involving the Bounty Hunters and several other hoods. Now let's get into some cases. On the evening of November 12th, 2002, Norm and Tyrone, both from Bounty Hunter Bloods, drove to Pasadena to her apartments. They knocked on the door of a woman named Jessica's apartment. She didn't answer the door though. It was her uncle. He told them that she wasn't there and that she wasn't going to be back for a while. Norm was on trial for pushing work in his hood, and Jessica was a key witness against him. The trial was set for the next day, so he needed to get rid of her that night. They then made a plan. If she wasn't there, they was going to shoot up her family to make sure she didn't come to court the next day. They walked back to the apartment, and once again, Jessica's uncle said she wasn't there. They started spraying. Jessica's grandma came out, and they shot her too. The uncle survived, but the grandma didn't. Norm would later be picked up, and he received life. Tyrone never made it that far. He got killed before he ever was arrested. On October 8th, 2004, Justin was an 8th grader at Markham Middle School. He lived in the Nickerson Garden Projects. Justin was leaving the school with several friends going back home. They walked past LD from Grape Street, and another dude LD was with. LD yelled out, "Booty hoes," at Justin and his crew. That's a diss to Bounty Hunter Bloods. Justin yelled back, "Hey bro, I don't bang," and he kept walking. LD then jumped in front of Justin's face and said, "Why you getting smart?" Justin said, "Get out of my face, bro." LD then pulled out a strap and put it to Justin's head and said, "This is Grape Street." Justin and his crowd broke away and ran back to the school. Justin reported it and picked LD out of a lineup. The same day, LD and his homie pressed another dude at the middle school who was going by the name R. LD said, "Where you from?" R said, "I don't bang." LD said, "Nah, we gotta run a fade." R had family from the PJ Watts Crips and he lived in that area. R then dropped his backpack to run a fade. Then LD put out a strap once again and pointed at R. LD started dissing PJs and they dead homies. He then walked away and said, "I'ma catch you later." R later picked LD out of a lineup as well. A few weeks later, a man was walking in the Jordan project with his family visiting his mom. He didn't bang. He was then shot in the ass by LD. LD was later picked up for all these crimes and received 44 years to life. On March 23rd, 2006, Serrano gang K-Mob wasn't really beefing with the Bounty Hunter Bloods until that day when a K-Mob member put out a strap on the Bounty Hunter Blood. 5 days later, Terry from Bounty Hunter Blood pulled up to Mark from K-Mob's home and sung him a lullaby. He knocked his ass out, putting him straight to sleep. Mark must have woke up and got mad, because days later, Mark and K-Mob jumped the Bounty Hunter Blood. Just a day after that, Terry and a few Bounty Hunter Bloods drove up to Mark's house in a black car and were circling the block. Mark and his little brother Jerry was sitting outside, and Mark knew something had to be going wrong, so he went inside. Jerry stayed outside. Terry hopped out the car and got on foot. Terry ran up on Jerry and finished him off, shooting him multiple times, then running back to the car. Mark didn't slide or get revenge for his little brother though. He just slid in the police office and told everything that happened. Terry was then picked up, and he would receive 25 years to life. On August 9th, 2006, around 10 p.m., a woman named Linda was parking in the Jordan Downs Projects parking lot when a hail of shots hit her car, striking her in the back. Diane was walking in the parking lot when she was shot in the neck, taking her life. Kawana was walking in the parking lot as well with some family members when she was shot in the foot. A Grape Magnum was the shooter's car. It was later found in the Nickerson Gardens. Kawana spoke with the police in the hospital, and she told the police it was Woody from Bounty Hunters. Woody got arrested on September 6, 2006. At trial, a witness named Demarie lived in the Nickerson Gardens. Demarie would tell the police he seen Woody and several other bounty hunters hop in a Grape Magnum, and they had straps in their hand. He would even say he seen them coming back. It was a few dudes on the lot that Woody tried to shoot, but he ain't hit nothing but innocent females. He was sentenced to 90 years to life. Bobby and Rendell never got along. They fought multiple times on different occasions. On April 23, 2008, they were playing basketball at 109th Street Recreation Center. Rendell got mad and he put Bobby ass to sleep. I mean, he knocked the hell out of Bobby. He even called him a coochie. Bobby woke up after his little nap, courtesy of Rendell's fist, and he wanted to be friends and drop the beef. The next day, Bobby plotted revenge. Bobby was going around telling everybody how he was going to get his get back. A man named Greg was at the park near the area of Rendell. Greg had his baby in his arms when a Toyota Camry pulled up and started shooting. Greg was shot in the arm, but his baby was safe. Rendell wasn't so lucky. He got shot in the head. Surveillance camera on the street caught everything. It was a man named Dervon driving, and Bobby was the one shooting. Dervon started snitching and telling police everything that he knew, so he ended up walking free. Bobby got life. KB and Face from Bounty Hunters got into an altercation with Evil and White Boy from Rolling 40s in the 40s turf on February 10th, 2009. White Boy and KB ran a fade, but Evil popped up and just started firing at KB and Face. A woman called the police and told them that White Boy and Evil did it. She knew White Boy from living in the area, and she gave the police a description of them. She even told the police where they lived. She later testified at trial, which White Boy threatened her, but it still didn't work. KB at hospital told the police who did it. He even picked the 40s out of a lineup. Several more people will come forth to testify against the 40s, which later got them convicted. White Boy and Evil both received life. Ricky and Greg was at their grandma's house on 113th and Bounty Hunters turf. Greg seen an OG bounty hunter named Spike and started tripping on him, leading to a fight. Ricky tried to break the fight up, but another OG named Foots walked up and started shooting at Greg, dropping him for multiple shots. He walked up at Greg and shot him more times. Then he walked off. Greg told the police at the hospital that Foots shot him and shot him up to 6 times. It turns out, Greg snitched on multiple bounty hunters. With already being a known snitch, you already know he was going to snitch on being shot. With Greg's testimony, Foots received 48 years to life. On January 3rd, 2011, Lewis and his girlfriend Maya drove to a shopping center on 103rd Street to eat at Chinese Express. Lewis was some bounty hunters. As they walked into the restaurant, Lewis said what's up to a man named Jay who was seated with his daughter. Jay responded by saying what's up, Loke, which Lewis responded by saying what's up, dog. Jay walked out the restaurant with his daughter and put her in the car and came back inside the restaurant wanting to fade. Let's just say, Jay should have just took his ass home, cause Lewis beat the brakes off that boy, leaving that boy leaking. By this time, Jay left and Lewis and Maya stayed waiting on their food. Jay returned minutes later and walked up to Lewis and said, "Oh yeah, you wanna go again?" I guess Jay couldn't take another ass beating because he lifted up his shirt and showed the strap and pulled it out and cocked it and started shooting at Lewis. Lewis ran away, but he got shot in the head, taking his life. Jay was from Franklin Square Crips, another rival of the Bounty Hunter Bloods. With several people who worked in the shopping center seeing it, Jay was easily convicted and received 25 to life. On August 20th, 2012, Armando was walking his little brother Kay to school when Midnight from Bounty Hunters popped out and said, "Where you from?" Armando responded by saying Mid-City Stoners. Midnight then shot Armando twice in the chest, taking his life. Midnight then ran away. Kay would give a full description of Midnight, and so did several people who lived on 112th Street. Midnight ran down on that street, and several people would identify him. Several Mid-City Stoners had just moved into the Bounty Hunter's turf, causing a rift, and Mid-City Stoners ended up shooting the Bounty Hunter, making them have an on-site beef. Police tracked Midnight easy from his IG, and his IG was incriminating, showing his gang affiliation and the beef in the streets that he had. He also did several ops on his page. He was sentenced to 50 years to life. Isaiah and Denzel were from Grape Street. They were at their aunt's house on 101st Street. Isaiah was outside getting something from his car when he heard multiple shots being fired. Denzel was shot in the stomach and later died that night. Just a bit later, Donald and Dante were chilling in their car on 104th Street and Broadway when they heard multiple shots being fired at them. They drove away before crashing into a gate. None of them was hit. Not too far away, police found the car used in both shootings. The car had been reported stolen. Inside the stolen car, police found a bounty hunter blood named Jesse's backpack and his school ID and other stuff of his inside the car. Bruh just months wanted to go to jail. At the hospital, Isaiah told the police he heard the shooter's name was Jesse from Bounty Hunters. After he heard several rumors, Isaiah even picked Jesse out of a photo lineup. Surveillance cameras on the Jordan Downs would capture some of the events, and they caught Jesse hanging out the window. Jesse's prints would be all over the stolen car too. Police got into Jesse's IG account when they found him and other bounty hunters talking about shooting Denzel and then Denzel losing his life. Jesse was picked up and placed in a cell with an informant. He was telling everything. He told the informant how he did the shoot in broad daylight and how he got rid of the strap. He even told the informant that the driver was his cousin. This was all police needed. Jesse and his cousin both received life sentences. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my previous videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.